Okay, so this is a really awkward time for me to make this video. I'm not saying it in the sense of, and this is not just me in the sense of like, this is like the weekend talking about a race that I did last week. I mean, I did it last week with Las Vegas, anyways, the last time I did this, but there's some construction work going on and recording this from a different part of my house, so if my voice sounds really weird or, not the usual stuff, then that's probably why. If you hear some like sounds, machinery, that's my. They're just doing some construction work there. So I apologize for that. But again, it's been a really tough week. Just had it really rough to just sit down and record this video when it just takes like 1 hour of my day to make it, and I only like do this on weekends. But anyways, let's talk about this Cup race at Phoenix. Which again surprisingly gave me plenty to talk about. You guys are gonna see what I mean in a couple of minutes. Um, so as for news that happened throughout the week, first, as we expected, the 17 team of Chris Buescher, they received 2 race suspensions due to the whole loose wheel incident from last week. The surprising part was that RFK, they decided to appeal the penalty, especially after they literally admitted to their mistake on radio. Again, I fully expected a penalty to be upheld. I'm sorry. And it was. But not because they went through with the appeal, actually. The main reason they went through with they decided to like appeal the penalty was to, because during the appeal process, the crew members are allowed to race up until NASCAR makes like a final determination. Like, no sense in suspending a crew member when they determine that when the appeal is overturned. So because of that clause in the rule book and NASCAR, some teams, they always decide to like appeal just to have members for like the next race, and then after that it's like, yeah, we will withdraw the appeal because they don't want the appeal to go through. They just wanted to, they just wanted their crew members for one more race. So they just withdrew their appeal, and their 2 race suspension that will begin. It will begin actually this weekend at Bristol, because I'm recording this like the morning before the truck race. But yeah, anyways, Phoenix was the first race with the new short track package, so I was looking forward to seeing what we would get out of it, or we would see out of it. And on qualifying, it became pretty apparent who the top dogs really were. Like from the get-go, Phoenix, a track where track position is king, and that number one pit stall, pit road matters a lot. That number one pit stall really matters a lot. You'll see what I mean again as I keep talking about this. So Denny Hamlin on the pole and Ty Gibbs in second. Finally, some diversity with an all JGR and Toyota front row. We have been seeing Logano and McDowell on the front row the last couple of races. Larson started on the front row last week at last week, 2 weeks ago at Vegas. So, anyways, but yeah, Ford. We don't see a Ford on the front row. It's all Toyota, all JGR. Speaking of Toyota, they came out cooking right out of the gate. Like 4 Camrys in the top 6 with Eric Jones in 4th and Tyler Reddick in 6th. Legacy Motor Club, they finally showed some speed because John Hunter Nemechek, he also looked really, really fast in practice. Obviously, that didn't translate into the race, but still, it was something great to see out of the Legacy boys. Other notable drivers, though: Chase Elliott 3rd and William Byron in 5th. Then Noah Gragson in 7th, still continuing his surprising start to the season. Chase Briscoe right next to him in 8th. McDowell in 9th. Carson Hocevar 10th, the best qualifying effort of his career. Then Ross Chastain in 12th. Ryan Blaney in 16th. Larson 17th. Then John Hunter, like I said, he looked really fast in practice. He started top 20 in 19th. Then Daniel Hemrick in 21st, Joe Logano 23rd. This is the first time we see Logano not start in the front row, and he starts deep in the field for that matter. Derek Cross in 26th, making his second start in the Cup Series after making his debut last week at Vegas. Ryan Preece 27th, Zane Smith 28th, Austin Dillon 30th, and Kyle Busch 31st. Again, RCR, they just did not come to play. Their short track program was just absolute dog shit. And then Austin Cindric 34th, LaJoy 35th, and finally at the rear, Josh Berry 36th. He crashed at qualifying, spun in qualifying and hit the wall in turn, I believe was in turn 4. He crashed in qualifying, so he will be starting at the rear. And I'm just gonna tell you right now, watching that 4 car struggle to get around Phoenix, it just feels so cursed, especially after watching Harvick wheel it for so many years. It just feels cursed. I know it's a different driver now, but still, it just doesn't feel right. That 4 car should not be struggling this much at Phoenix. The Stewart-Haas Racing 4 car, that is. So anyways, we go to stage 1. Ty Gibbs and Eric Jones, they got the jump on Hamlin, and they go 1-2 with the 54 leading. As usual, as it always has been the case for the last for the first races. And I'm surprised at just realizing this now, but we always have a caution for each of the first 4 races. We've had a caution in the first 10 laps, so we get an early caution as usual. Derek Krause getting loose, spinning off of turn 2, and he collects the 2 Austins, Austin Dillon and Austin Cindric. This is the 3rd time in 4 races that Austin Dillon has been involved in the first caution, early caution of the race. The guy just cannot catch a break. Thankfully, he's got Morgan & Morgan on the car, though. Great sponsorship placement. He can just call them and say that he's been involved in an accident. But anyways, jokes aside, Kyle Busch just pitted for major adjustments. Like I said, his car was literal dog shit. He was running dead last before that first caution. He was describing his issues with the car and radio, and there were just like too many to ask. There were just too many issues. That's pretty much the point. But Corey LaJoy, Ryan Preece, Hemrick, Chris Buescher, Berry, Casgrella, those guys also pitted. Then we go to the restart. Ty Gibbs, he continues to lead as the Toyotas go 3 wide behind him. The Toyotas of Hamlin, Jones, and Reddick. Jones holds second, while the 11 under 45 battle for third, which Hamlin eventually wins out. So the Toyota is in the top 4, with each of their 3 teams well represented. That's what we saw early on. So the Gibbs cars, 4 of the 8 Toyotas were like top 4, 2 from JGR, then Reddick with 2311, and Eric Jones with the Legacy Motor Club team. So it wasn't just JGR, like their satellite teams, 2311, Legacy, I mean more like Eric Jones, but they showed a lot of speed. Toyota as a whole, like I said, Toyota as a whole, they just came out to play. They put a complete race weekend together that I was just surprised. And as the run goes on, though, it's pretty clear that Reddick, he had the best long run car. As the stage goes on, and again, stage 1 just went green the rest of the way. He passed Hamlin and Jones. He challenged Ty Gibbs for the stage win, and it ain't easy. Like I said, Phoenix is a very hard track to pass, but it's not impossible. Reddick eventually makes the pass with 4 to go, and he goes on to win stage 1. Like I said, his long run speed is honestly terrifying, because we saw this last week at Las Vegas. Reddick, that 2311 team, that 45 team at 2311, they know how to set up a long run car. If only his pit crew stopped messing him up at every chance they got. A lot of people think that 2311's issues, they're only like Bubba Wallace pit issues. No, Tyler Reddick has also been screwed over by terrible pit crew as well. But yeah, Ty Gibbs finished second in the stage, Hamlin in third, Jones in fourth. Like I said, Toyota top 4. Then Chase Elliott, William Byron, 5th and 6th, with Ryan Blaney in 7th. Those 3 guys were like the guys that I believed were the best guys that could like compete with Toyota. Elliott, Byron, and Blaney. Obviously, I said compete because at some points they just looked like they just could not keep up. But yeah, they look like top 5. Well, Blaney didn't look like a top 5 car until the very end, but Elliott and Byron, they look like top 5 cars for sure. They were the best Chevys. I'm gonna say it right now. And Chevy, they look really off over the course of the race. They just felt dominated not only by the Toyotas, but also the Fords. They just got the better of them down the stretch of the race. Again, we'll get to that later, but yeah. Michael McDowell 8th, Chase Briscoe 9th, Martin Truex 10th to round out the stage point earners. Noah Gragson and Carson Hocevar, they ran in the top 10 early, but they fell to 12th and 15th respectively. Ross Chastain 19th, another driver that I was a bit disappointed that I didn't get to see, that we didn't get to see a lot out of, that I was honestly a bit disappointed of, especially considering that he dominated the fall race last year. And Phoenix is usually one of his sneaky good tracks for Chastain. He didn't perform as much as I expect. He didn't perform as well as I expected him to overall. Kyle Busch 22nd, Joey Logano 25th. Kyle Busch just ran like sub 20th all day. I don't think he cracked the top 20. Maybe if he did, it was during like pit stops or some strategy play. But Kyle Busch was not top 20. He did not have top 20 speed. I'm sorry. And yeah, Joey Logano 25th again. Usually surprised at Logano's lack of speed because, like I said, Penske, especially Logano and Blaney, they usually run really well at Phoenix. Even Keselowski, when he was running with them, when he was still at Penske with them, he produced some pretty good results, some sneaky good results here. So, again, bit surprising. I thought these guys would definitely fight the Toyotas for the win, but anyways, we go to pit road. Hamlin wins the race of pit road over Tyler Reddick thanks to that number 1 stall. Like I said, advantage of having the number 1 stall. William Byron moves up to 3rd. Ty Gibbs dropped to 5th. And Eric Jones dropped to 9th after an issue with the left front tire. Larson and Hocevar, they also had to make extra pit stops for wheel-related issues. They didn't tighten the wheel enough and the sort. After that, we go to stage 2. Hamlin holds the lead this time with Tyler Reddick in 2nd and Chase Elliott in 3rd after prevailing over William Byron and Ty Gibbs in a 3-wide battle. This was for 3rd, by the way, so Elliott was the winner in that exchange. Toyota, like I said, they just continued to be the class of the field in stage 2, especially in the long run. We had like 5 Toyotas in the top 7 as after Truex and Christopher Bell, they crept their way up. So we had the 4 JGR cars in the top 7, as well as Reddick with 2311. And in my opinion, those five cars, they were at one point or another the car to beat. Like, there was no best car in this race. There was no best car in this race. Like, this was a collective. The best car was like Toyota, a collective effort from Toyota and their 4 JGR drivers plus Tyler Reddick. You'll see what I mean later on. And with also Eric Jones was running 11th at the time, just cracking, just knocking on the door into the top 10. So if you count Eric Jones, that was like 6 of the top 11 cars were Toyotas. Like 75% of the Toyota fleet were running top 11 with almost top 10. Again, just crazy, just some nasty work from the boys at Toyota. So anyways, we had green flag pit stops on lap 116. Like I said, Phoenix, this stage 2 I believe went green the whole way. I could be wrong. I'm just looking at my notes here. No, I'm right. The stage 2 went green the whole way. So we had like 100 whatever that stage 2 was, 100 something green flag run. Green flag pit stops, they began on lap 116. Blaney started the cycle. Larson and Chastain joined in. And then this brought Byron, Truex, Bell, and several others down pit road. Chase Elliott soon followed, as well as Joey Logano. And then also Ty Gibbs. He lost a ton of spots due to a slow stop and an issue with the right rear tire. Noah Gragson and Chase Briscoe also pitted during this time. Then the next couple of laps, Reddick pits, and this brings the leader Denny Hamlin down, who had a slow entry due to Suarez messing him up. He still cycles back ahead of Reddick, but the gap is reduced to 0.6 of a second when it was 1.2 seconds before the cycle began. So that pit stop mattered. So that those few that little time that he lost backing up, slowing down to let Suarez by. Those little that little time mattered. That little split second of time he slowed down, that mattered. So in the end, Todd Gilliland, Kyle Busch, Stenhouse, Hocevar, Derek Kraus, those 5 guys, they stayed out to run the cycle longer in hopes that a caution came out. It didn't. It did not. It did not. Like I said, stage 2 went green the whole way, so these guys would eventually pit because they wouldn't be able to make it like 100 laps on a fuel tank. That was just way too much. Kyle Busch is the first one who comes in eventually, while the other 4 stay out and start losing ground on the track. They all fall a lap down once they pit, which is, later in the stage. So, predictably, they all fell a lap down. And then they all pit one by one. The only one that stayed out like longer than the other guys was, I believe, Todd Gilliland, who eventually loses the lead on track to Tyler Reddick, who passed Hamlin a couple of laps before they went past the 38. And speaking of Christopher Bell, he cycled back to 3rd. So Toyota is still 1, 2, 3. And with Martin Truex in 5th, that's 4 Toyotas in the top 5 now. Towards the end of the stage, Christopher Bell's car, he came to life. Again, another Toyota showing speed in the long run. First it was Reddick, now it's Christopher Bell. He passes Hamlin for 2nd, and with Reddick struggling to get around traffic, Bell is able to quickly close the gap and make the pass on the 45 with 5 laps to go. And he wins stage 2. So Tyler Reddick finished 2nd, Denny Hamlin, William Byron 3rd and 4th, then Truex in 5th. Like I said, 4 Toyotas in the top 5. Then Ryan Blaney 6th, Chase Elliott 7th, Noah Gragson 8th, Keselowski 9th, and Chris Buescher 10th. Larson, he managed to make up ground, but only up to 14th. Ty Gibbs, he fell down to 17th after that slow stop. He just never recovered. He just kept falling backwards. Something happened with the balance of that car. And then Joey Logano 21st and Kyle Busch 24th, both trap a lap down. Only 19 cars on the lead lap by the end of stage 2. Wild pace, like I said, the Toyotas were setting just a wild pace all race long. Only a select few could keep up with them, those being Byron, Elliott, and Blaney. But outside of those 3, no one else could just keep up with the Toyotas. Or like they were a tier below, or 2 tiers below, because Byron, Elliott, and Blaney, they could keep up, but they were honestly just a tier below them. So then we go to pit road. Number 1 pit stop once again makes the difference as Hamlin wins the race of pit road with Tyler Reddick in 2nd and William Byron in 3rd. Christopher Bell fell to 10th after a slow stop with an issue with the right rear tire. And Harrison Burton gets busted for speeding. I just wanted to point that out, the speeding penalty, because this was a really... I don't know if it was like the broadcast missing stuff or what, but... these drivers, they just kept it really clean on pit road today, especially considering the Phoenix can be a bit of a tricky pit road to get through. But if you manage the pit road, the payoff is pretty high. The reward is very high, especially if you have the number 1 pit stop. A lot of people say, and when I say people, I mean drivers. A lot of drivers are in agreement that the number 1 pit stall at Phoenix is the best number 1 pit stall in all of NASCAR. Like, winning the pole at Phoenix, getting that first choice of pit box and picking that number 1 pit box, that just pretty much means that you are pretty much set for the race, because you will have the track position, and as long as you keep the track position and you put yourself and you get your strategy game right, you will be able to compete for the win, because that's the game when it comes to Phoenix. It's not always the best car who wins. It's the best car that keeps the strategy play right. The best car at Phoenix is usually the car that is able to pass other cars for position and manage to work his way out through the field pretty well. Which is why Ryan Blaney won the title in 2023. Last time we went here at the championship race, he qualified really poorly. I believe he qualified mid-pack, but as the race went on, the team just made adjustments and they just kept going until eventually they finished ahead of the other 3. He didn't win the race, obviously, but they went ahead of the other 3 and won the championship. And that was because Blaney, his team made adjustments so that he could be able to pass guys on for position, even when he wasn't running on up through the field. He was able to move up through the field. It's because his team made adjustments. If you're able to pass other guys for position in the long run at Phoenix, you probably have the car to beat. If you get to the front, you're pulling away. That's what I'm trying to say. Because Phoenix, like I said, it's a very hard track to pass. But anyway, stage 3 it started out really messy. Honestly, I really thought we were gonna have another edition of like Trucks 2023 at Phoenix last year. So I was getting a little bit nervous for a moment. But stage 3 started out with a quickie yellow for a Kyle Busch spin after he got loose off turn 2. Then after that, the race resumed once again, though Tyler Reddick getting the jump on Hamlin to retake the lead. Ryan Blaney moved up to 3rd. There were battles for position all throughout the field during this couple of restarts. There was one restart where we got like 6 wide on the dog leg, and there was like 3 to 4 wide anywhere else. You know, it was go time, and these guys just know it. This unfortunately led to another caution not too long after. John Hunter Nemechek just dumped Logano entering turn 1. You know, a lot of people, you know, the 42 team, when they were like on the radio, they said that, you know, Logano may have slowed out because that obviously did not look intentional. Because, like I said, Logano was just really awfully off the pace all race long, especially for his standards. Because, like I said, Phoenix is usually one of his better tracks. But yeah, Corey LaJoie, Derek Krause, Zane Smith were collected. Josh Berry also spun out. Logano's tough start to the season continues. And he was in a free pass position too on this caution, so no lucky dog on this one. And if you're counting at home, that's 2 out of 3 Penske cars in wrecks today. Which is honestly really crazy because, again, Phoenix is one of Penske's better tracks. So anyways, we have another restart again. Martin Truex, and this time Martin Truex just creeps up through the field. An amazing restart, passing Blaney and Byron for 3rd, and challenging them both for the lead. While all this is happening, Chastain is put in the wall by Elliott while racing inside the top 10. Thankfully, the toe link doesn't bend. And this action, unfortunately, like I said, because we aren't done yet, this action is halted by yet another caution. This time is because for a spin up front, Hamlin getting loose in turns 1 and 2, and spinning out while battling for the lead with Reddick. And then we go to pit road. Strategy. All these cautions have brought the leaders inside the field window to make it to the end. Several drivers, they still come down to pit for tires because, you know, tires, they do matter at Phoenix, but not as much as the, you know, track position. A driver that is on 2 tires can actually hold the lead for a pretty long period of time on average than on a track where, like, you know, tires matter more. But yeah, all of these cautions, they brought the leaders inside the fuel window to make it to the end. Several, they still come down to pit for tires because some drivers, they estimated that they will have to pit for tires sooner than they will have to do for fuel. So yes, tires matter at Phoenix, but not that much. Truex stayed out, pretty surprising move, considering he had one of the fastest cars of the race. Ryan Preece, Todd Gilliland, Ross Chastain, Chris Buescher, McDowell, Chase Briscoe, Eric Jones, Stenhouse, they all stayed out as well. Also, something important to note, Todd Gilliland, Ryan Preece, Stenhouse, Hocevar, Suarez, those guys pitted when during the caution for the Kyle Busch spin. And then Chastain, Buescher, Gilliland again, Stenhouse again, Briscoe, Hocevar, Byron, they pitted on the caution when Logano crashed out. So you can see now all of these guys, most of the guys who stayed out on this latest caution, they stayed out because they took advantage of the previous cautions to make a pit stop or two. So again, like I said, strategy. And on the restart, because of this, the running order is just very mixed up. Truex and Priest, they stay 1 and 2. The only two guys who stayed out throughout all three cautions were the 19 and the 41. Ty Gibbs, he moved up to third after taking 2 tires on that last caution. Eric Jones, he gets put in the wall in turns 1 and 2 after, Bubba Wallace got loose underneath him. No caution, but unlike Chastain, he is not as lucky. The toe link is bent and he has to pit, and, he loses several laps. A really damn shame too, because like I said, Jones was another one of the Toyotas that run really well. He got a car that could get like he got a top 10 car. That's what I'm trying to say. He got a top 5 car at the start, and in the long run, it was like he faded out, but he was still like top 10. As for Truex, despite being on all tires, he manages to clear out to a 3.5 second lead, while Priest and Ty Gibbs, they do battle for second, with the 54 eventually prevailing. But even after clearing Priest and still having, fresh tires, he still continues to lose ground to the leader, up to a 5-second lead. And this keeps going on until Bell passes Ty Gibbs for second, the first car on 4 tires. And that's when you see the lead start to get chopped off. And it's at this point where both fuel and tires become a concern for the 19 on the 41. They are short on both, especially Truex. And soon enough, it becomes apparent that they cannot make it to the end. So rather pit now and manage to, take advantage of the fresher tires to, salvage a good finish. That's what they both do. They both pitted with 40 laps to go. And this gives the lead back to Christopher Bell, a lead which he would never relinquish on his way to victory. Yeah, that's it. Like, no drama, no nothing. The race just went green the rest of the way. After that final restart for the Hamlin spin. Bell just pulled away and won the old-fashioned way. This is the first points-paying win for the new Gen 7 Camry in the Cup Series, when Hamlin, not counting the Clash, which Hamlin won. And it was pretty dominant too in various metrics. Toyota, they just set the tone from start to finish. It was just a total team effort. No single car, like I said, no single car from the Toyota camp was like the best car. At some point it looked like Christopher Bell had the best car. He obviously had the best car at the end of the race, but Tyler Reddick, it looked like he got the best long run car like in the first stage of the race. Then in the second stage, Bell's car came to life. Hamlin was pretty good. His pit crew, obviously, he got help from having the number 1 pit stall, but Hamlin had a top 5 car all race long. Ty Gibbs, when he was running up front, he was really fast as well. The only problem is that he had a tendency to use like his stuff way too much, which is why he fell off at the end. That's why he just could not catch Truex at the end. It's because he got used all of his stuff up to get by Priest for second. He got nothing for Truex and Bell. Speaking of Truex, he got a really fast car too. Even after the pit stop, he managed to rally back for a good finish. If a lot of people are saying now, looking back on it, if Truex just pitted with the other Toyotas on that final caution, he would have had enough fuel and tires to challenge Christopher Bell for the lead. And it would probably be a battle between the 19 and the 20. Who knows what would have happened, but Truex was really fast on all tires, and on new tires he was just like making up ground like he was no one's business. So this just gives off the impression that if Truex just pitted his strategy game, if he got his strategy game a little bit more right, he would have probably, been in contention to win or challenge Bell for the win. So you can also see how even when Truex wasn't, out of contention for the win, the fact that he was able to salvage a good finish even after pitting under green, it really just shows again how just Toyota was just on it all race long. So to put things into perspective, Toyota led only 15 laps combined in all of the Phoenix races ran with the Gen 7 car up until that point, like before this race. If you count the 2 Phoenix races from 2022, the 2 Phoenix races from last year, Um, they only led 15 laps on those 4 races combined. This race alone, of 312 laps, they led 298. The only non-Toyota driver to lead in this race was Todd Gilliland, who led 14. I'm pretty sure if it wasn't for like, green flag pit stops and strategy, if it wasn't because of that, I'm pretty sure Toyota would have walked away with with all of their drivers leading, with all of their drivers leading 100% of the race. Those 14 laps under green flag pit stops, but if it wasn't for that, Toyota would have led every single lap of the entire race. They were, like I said, they were just on one. Also, like I said, just to show you what I mean when I say that Toyota, there wasn't like really a best driver. It was like a total team effort. All the Joe Gibbs Racing drivers led laps. Tyler Reddick led laps. Even Eric Jones ran up front on the first half of the race. 5 Toyota drivers led 50 or more laps today. 5 of them. This is the first time this has happened in NASCAR history. And those 5 drivers, Toyota drivers combined for the 298 laps led. Like the 4 Joe Gibbs Racing drivers and Tyler Reddick. Those were the 5 drivers that led laps for Toyota. Like I said, no best car all day long. But whatever your pick is, I'm pretty sure it was a Toyota. Bell had the best car down the stretch though. I'm going to say this. Bell had the best car down the stretch in the long runs, but Reddick, at some point I thought Reddick was going to win. If Truex had his pit strategy right, he could have challenged Bell for the win. Hamlin was in it all race long. Yeah, I feel like there were like 4 drivers that could have won this race, that were like candidates to have to be the best car. All 4 of them were Toyota drivers. I'm also happy Christopher Bell won though, because number one, I got him winning this weekend at Bristol. And this is one of those few picks that I make before the season even started. Like, I'm really confident. I looked at the schedule and I said, yeah, I'm really confident Bell's going to win. It's not Bristol Dirt anymore, but I think he will... but I think he will win because Bristol is one of his better tracks, and it fits his race style really well. He's also my championship pick, number 2, so I also had him like winning an early season race. So the fact that he won at Phoenix and he is my pick to win at Bristol, it just gives him momentum. It just reinforces the fact, and it just reinforces my belief that he will be, even if he doesn't win, he's gonna be a candidate to win. He's gonna be right up there with Larson and probably Chris Buescher and probably Denny Hamlin as well. Just some guys that I got like off the top of my head that can run really well at Bristol. And most importantly, Bell is reaffirming my belief that he is still Toyota's best driver. Yes, he got a slow start to the year, but in today's NASCAR, it doesn't really matter how bad of a season you have, as long as you win. For better or for worse. I know, personally, I don't agree with the way NASCAR, they crown their champions, but I don't agree with that. But that's a discussion for another day. But Christopher Bell, to me, he is Toyota's best driver. And once again, he has proven it time and time again. He is the only Toyota driver that has made it. And the only driver, as a matter of fact, he's the only driver that has made it to the Championship 4 in the first 2 years of the Gen 7 car. And he is a Toyota driver, to boot. And of his... Let me see. How many career wins does Christopher Bell have? He has 6... Well, this is his 7th career win. Of the 7 career wins he has, 3 of those have come in the playoffs. And they have come in must-win situations. I mean, the Homestead win last year wasn't really a must-win, but he entered that race below the cut line, so I'm still gonna count it. But yeah, Bell is Toyota's best driver. I don't care whatever you guys say about Denny Hamlin, about Ty Gibbs surpassing him later on. Right now, it's Christopher Bell's time. Right now, it's Bell time. Also, another interesting stat regarding Christopher Bell. He broke the record, and once again, shout out to my buddy Trey Ryan on Twitter for getting this stat out. I don't know if it was Trey Ryan, honestly. It could have been somebody else, but when I think of NASCAR stats, I always think of Trey Ryan as my go-to guy. But yeah, as for Christopher Bell, he broke the record for the largest margin of victory in the Gen 7 car. He won this race at Phoenix. He won it by 5.47 seconds. The previous record was 5.44 seconds, which was set at New Hampshire in 2022, which Christopher Bell also won. So, in other words, Bell just broke his own record. That's some crazy. That's just some nasty work this guy's doing. But yeah, enough talking about Christopher Bell. He's the winner and all. Nothing against him. I like the guy. He's one of my favorite drivers. But we're just gonna go over the other finishers. The rest of the field, obviously. Chris Buescher finished second. He battled Ty Gibbs. He managed to get second over Ty Gibbs after the 54. He just used up his stuff way too early in the run, and he just didn't have anything to catch Christopher Bell. He eventually lost second to Buescher as well. Ty Gibbs finishes third, but he still manages to come out with a career best finish, and in my opinion, a career best day for him. Another stat that I saw regarding Ty Gibbs, he has the best average finish throughout 4 races. I have no doubt. Okay, I'm actually gonna look this up now, because now I'm curious, because I'm pretty sure he would be leading the points if this was like the Winston Cup format. Yeah, there's some construction work going on. I don't think it's bothering you guys. I don't think it's bothering me that much. As I really thought it was gonna be more of an issue, but go figure. See here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so if this was like the Winston Cup format, Ty Gibbs would be second in points, only 2 points behind Blaney. Only 2 points behind Blaney, but yeah, he has the best average finish throughout the first 4 races. And Bristol was the best race of his rookie season. The Bristol night race was, in my opinion, the best performance of his rookie season in terms of like laps led and finishing result. So yeah, he's going to another good track for him. That first win may be coming soon. And the craziest thing is, it might come on an oval. Because I had Ty Gibbs winning on a road course. I had Ty Gibbs, his first career win, coming on a road course. But he could win on an oval. He could win on an oval. My gosh, holy shit. Ty Gibbs might actually... Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I'm just surprised as surprised as you are. I didn't know Ty Gibbs was like in a hot start to this season. Holy shit. But yeah. Anyways, Keselowski fourth. Great bounce back day for RFK Racing. Because with Buescher second and Keselowski fourth. Ford as a whole, they started the season really badly outside of Blaney. And speaking of Blaney, he finished fifth. He manages to get a top 5 out of this race after a last lap battle with Ross Chastain. And once again, thanks to Trey Ryan for pointing this out, he keeps the streak alive of consecutive top five finishes for Penske at Phoenix since the fall of 2018. Despite his other 2 teammates crashing out, and despite Blaney having a pretty mundane day for his Phoenix standards, he manages to make it out with the top 5. Also, one of the few guys that could keep up with the Toyotas at all times. Like I said, him, Elliott, and Blaney were the only guys that were like the best guys, quote unquote, to challenge the Toyotas, but in reality, they were just a tier below them. The only question was who wasn't going to challenge Toyota, was which Toyota driver would win, because the battle for the win was between 4 Toyota drivers, in my opinion. Also, Ryan Blaney, like I said, he comes out of this race as the points leader, not just in the Winston Cup format, but like in the current format. He is the points leader right now. He's also the only Ford driver in the top 14 in points, which I guess is some progress compared to last year, where he was like the only Ford in the top 19. Like seriously, Ford has been really bad to start the season. Holy shit. But yeah, Toyota has managed to figure out their new Camry, but Ford, they still have some work to do regarding their new Dark Horse Mustang. Ross Chastain, he finishes 6th. The highest finishing day for the highest finishing Chevy, as well as the only Chevy in the top 10 in what was undoubtedly their worst performance across all 3 series so far this season. Hell, even the Fords outclassed them down the stretch in this race. And as for Ross Chastain himself, he didn't have that hot of a race either. He usually spent like mid-pack the entire race. I was honestly disappointed. in Chastain. He didn't perform as well as I thought he would, especially considering that he just spoiled the championship 4 party last year. I definitely expected him to, like, run top 5 at the very least, or the top 10. Yeah, the late race strategy definitely helped him out, but and salvaging him a good result, just like what happened last week at Vegas. But I want to see more raw speed out of him. Now, Martin Truex, he finished 7th. He rallied to a top 10 finish despite pitting late with like 40 laps to go. Michael McDowell finished 8th. Chase Briscoe 9th. And Tyler Reddick running out the top 10. Those guys, Reddick 10th, and Hamlin, who finished 11th, they were running up front, but because of the late race strategy, they were like shuffled out of the running order. They managed to make some ground, but in the end, they just didn't have the capabilities of Bell's 20 car to like pass guys in traffic as easily as Christopher Bell did. Which is why I say Christopher Bell had the best car in the final stretch of the race. Bell had the car to beat in the final stretch of the race. It's because he was able to pass guys in traffic, and when he was at the lead, he managed to pull away. That's how you know Bell had the best car at Phoenix. It was because he was able to pass guys in traffic. It's not about staying up front. It's about passing in traffic at Phoenix. If your car is capable of doing that and passing cars for position at Phoenix, then you probably have the car to beat. It's all about getting the right track position. Anyways, Reddick 10th, Hamlin 11th, Noah Gragson finished 12th. Arguably, and this is gonna be a bit of a hot take depending on who you ask, but Noah Gragson has been, in my opinion, the second best Ford this season in terms of like finishing results. If it wasn't for that 35-point penalty 2 weeks ago, he would be 15th in points, and fittingly so, that would rank him as the second best Ford ahead of like Austin Cindric, because Cindric, despite the last bad couple of races that he's had, Cindric is still running still above the cut line in the playoffs, surprisingly enough, and he's still top 15 in points, like the second best Ford. But again, if it wasn't for that 35-point penalty, Gragson will be over him in 15th. A lot of people don't look at Phoenix as a good track for Larson, but Larson has gotten some pretty good results. But this was a pretty meh, honestly. Carson Hocevar 15th, really surprised by his, really surprised by his, more than stellar. Not really stellar start, but honestly, he's been like in terms of results, he has been like the best Spire Motorsports car. Am I right? Okay, I'm actually gonna look at this. Oh, and by the way, I'm holding my laptop close to me so that you guys can listen to me, because, like I said, it looks like the construction work in my house just picked up. So, see what we got here. Let's check here. Okay, let's look at the standings here. No, not the Winston Cup standings. When I look at the actual standings, the real life standings, Hocevar is okay. So Hocevar is 24th. Oh no, he's actually tied for LaJoy, tied in points with LaJoy in 23rd. Okay, I guess some stage points should be accounted for. Okay, never mind. It looks like Corey LaJoy has the best average finish. Yeah, he had a top 5 he finished top 5 in the Daytona 500. Yeah, but outside of, if you take away that top 5 that LaJoy had in the Daytona 500, outside of that, Hocevar has been Spire Motorsports' like best car in terms of finishing results. Let's see here. Let's see what we got here. Todd Gilliland finished 17th. The only, like I said, the only non-Toyota driver who led laps in this race was Todd Gilliland. He led 14 laps during that pit cycle in stage 2. Then William Byron and Chase Elliott, they finished 18th and 19th. Like Ryan Blaney, both the 24 and the 9, they were the only drivers that could keep up with the Toyotas. Unfortunately, Hendrick and Chevy as a whole, they just fell apart down the stretch after they lost that track position in that final caution when everyone pitted and some stayed out. And Alex Bowman in 20th. So all Hendrick cars, on paper, all Hendrick cars finished top 20. All 4 Hendrick cars, they finished top 20. On paper, that's okay. But when you look at the results and the fact that they all finished outside the top 13, they finished like all inside the top 20, but none of them cracked the top 10. Like the highest finishing Hendrick car was Larson. Like I said, Hendrick as a whole, they were just outclassed. And not just by the Toyotas, the Fords even outclassed them like down the stretch, like Blaney, Briscoe, Noah Gragson, hell, even Michael McDowell. Even Michael McDowell and arguably Todd Gilliland got the better of them in the end. But yeah, Kyle Busch 22nd. How many cars finished on the lead lap? Because I'm curious now. I'm pretty sure Kyle Busch finished a lap down, but I just want to see how many cars finished on the lead lap here. 21. Okay, so Kyle Busch was the first car a lap down. The last guy who finished on the lead lap was Stenhouse, who finished 21st. So Kyle Busch 22nd, Ryan Preece 23rd. Like Truex, he pitted on under green with like 40 to go. But unlike Truex, he's not driving a Toyota, so he was unable to to make up that ground like Truex did. He was unable to unlap his way into a top 20 finish. Obviously because Christopher Bell was the leader, part of that, but also part of that was because he's not driving a freaking Toyota. Justin Haley 24th. I'm just mentioning Justin Haley because he had a quiet day. But that's actually good for Rickware Racing standards. That's pretty good. Top 25 finish. Shout out to him. Josh Berry 26. The worst of the Stewart-Haas racing cars, which is honestly disappointing, considering that he finished top 10 last year driving the 9 car, subbing in for the injured Chase Elliott. I expected a bit more out of him, probably a top 20 day, but let's be honest, his weekend was gonna be a long race for him ever since qualifying, ever since he crashed out. And also him getting involved in that Logano caution, just getting loose and spinning out. That just didn't do him any favors either. Eric Jones 31st. He got put in the wall by Bubba Wallace late in the race, and he had to pit to fix the tolling. He finished several laps down. Then Austin Dillon in 32nd. He got involved in the first caution of the race. And then Corey LaJoie in 33rd. Speaking of Corey LaJoie, and this is something that I didn't realize he had going until, it ended. But Corey LaJoie had the longest active streak of finishing races without a DNF, without a single DNF. So he had 44 consecutive races without a DNF, like running at the finish. That was the longest active streak in the Cup Series. His last DNF was at Talladega in the fall of 2022. Obviously, that streak has been broken because he got involved in that crash with Joey Logano. Joey Logano finished 34th, by the way. But yeah, as for Corey LaJoie, I didn't realize he had that streak going on. This pretty much means that he went with 0 DNFs in 2023, which is honestly really surprising, but really unfortunate for him that his streak just ended. I mean, last week we saw Chris Buescher's streak of 33 straight races without a DNF end. Now we just watched the same thing happen with Corey LaJoie this season, the very next race. So now, Joey Logano 34th, right behind him again. His terrible start to the season just continues. He's digging himself into to start the season because the thing about Logano is he has showed speed on qualifying. He started like 2 poles to start the season. But the thing about Logano is he hasn't really scored that many stage points. He hasn't really scored that many stage points in the first couple of races. So that and plus the fact that he has poor finishes has dug himself deep into a hole. Like 3 finishes outside the top 25, minimal stage points. I do believe he's like the worst, like, of the drivers that we expect to be in the playoff hunt. He's the worst of them. This could be like a worst 2017 2.0. No, this is gonna be like a worse season than 2017 if this keeps up like that. If this keeps up, this could be like the worst season for Logano, even worse than 2017. His worst season at Penske by far. Okay, so no, Logano had a terrible start to the season on Matt Kenseth's birthday, no less, because the day of the Phoenix race, March 10th, was, apart from being Mario Day, obviously, March 10th was Matt Kenseth's birthday. And on Matt Kenseth's birthday, the 20 and the 17 finished 1-2 with Christopher Bell and Chris Buescher. Obviously, Kenseth drove the 17 and also the 20. This race had 6 cautions. Again, Kenseth also drove the 6. And Logano got wrecked out of the race by the 42, which Kenseth also drove the 42. And the 42 car also finished 25th, just like Matt Kenseth did in his final start in 2020, driving the 42. He also finished 25th in that race. All of those were car numbers that Kenseth drove throughout his career. Obviously, his full-time Cup career started driving the 17 for Roush. Then in 2013, he switched over to the 20 from Gibbs. Then in 2018, after, being released from Gibbs, he went back to Roush, driving the 6 car part-time. And then in 2020, after Larson was suspended, he drove the 42 for the rest of the season. And Phoenix was the track that Kenseth won his last race on. So it's funny how it all works out sometimes. This all happened at Phoenix, at the track where Kenseth won his final career Cup race. So again, just really funny how it works out. Shout out to Mike Kenseth, by the way. One of the most, if not the most underrated driver in NASCAR history. And yeah, Derek Kraus 35th, Austin Cindric 36th, involved in that first caution. Their days pretty much ended just 5 laps in. So overall, for this race, I'm going to give it a C. I don't know if you guys can hear me very well. Again, like I said, construction work in my house, picking up. Sorry about that. But yeah, I'm going to give this grade a C. I'm going to grade this a C. This short track package, I know this is going to be a bit of a hot take. And no, just pretty much me being optimistic, probably. You could chalk that up to me, but I feel like this short track package was better than last year's. It's hard to explain for me, but this Phoenix race, it just didn't feel as dull as last time. Although, usually, again, this comes with the caveat that the Phoenix races in the spring, they're usually better than the championship races in the fall. This is a trend that I've noticed. The 2022 races at Phoenix, the spring race was obviously better. 2023, the spring race was obviously better than the championship race. This season, the spring race at Phoenix, it was kind of where you would expect for a spring race at Phoenix, a normal spring race at Phoenix. Obviously, it's not as good. Obviously, it's not as good as your usual NASCAR race, but for Phoenix standards, it was all right. The short track package was definitely better than last year's, and I can already see a lot of people like saying that this package is awful, that it's that it's been a disaster. NASCAR just doesn't know how to make a good the Gen 7 look good on short tracks. Short tracks are ruined. Calm down, guys. Phoenix is a track that's very hard to pass no matter the package. Now, people obviously would disagree though because they have a low opinion on Phoenix already, having 2 races, but this wouldn't be much of an issue if one of those 2 races wasn't the championship race. I feel like I don't think Phoenix is that big of a deal. Obviously, I just don't think that Phoenix is a good track or that good of a track. But even then, I feel like people just give it much more hate than it deserves. Now, do I think Phoenix deserves 2 races? Debatable. I lean more towards no because only a few select tracks deserve 2 days, and Phoenix is not among them in my opinion. But at the same time, it's not that big of a deal to me personally. With that being said though, regardless of whether or not they decide to keep the 2 races, Phoenix can no longer be the championship venue. It just ain't it. And it's been pretty apparent for the last, especially for the last 2 to 3 years, that Phoenix as a championship race it just feels dull, especially ever since we entered this new Gen 7 era. Hopefully NASCAR listens to the fans on this one and moves the title race out of Phoenix for the foreseeable future. Hopefully they make it like a rotating finale between races like Homestead, Kansas maybe as a finale. I would love to see a finale at Kansas, Homestead or Kansas, or hell, even Charlotte. Hell, even Charlotte. Let's bring back the 500-mile oval race at Charlotte. Like, let's get, I've heard chatter of, the Roval, getting back to the oval Charlotte race. I don't know if it's gonna happen because NASCAR has invested a lot on the Roval thing, for them to go back to the oval after a couple of years. But if it's for a season finale, I would love for a season finale to be at the Charlotte oval, like the return of the 500-mile Charlotte oval race. It would be pretty nice. So yeah, I would like to see it. Hell, even a season finale at Nashville wouldn't look that bad, honestly. Especially since NASCAR, they run like they like to do their awards, their end of season awards banquet over at Nashville for a couple of years. So a season finale at Nashville Super Speedway, not the Nashville Fairgrounds, Nashville Super Speedway. I wouldn't be opposed to the idea either. Like, there's so many options that NASCAR could go with this. So many better tracks than Phoenix that NASCAR could go with. I just hope that NASCAR they just add more variety to their schedule, and they just don't just stick to one track being the season finale for the foreseeable future. It needs to be a rotating finale, in my opinion. Like, one year we go to one track, then the next year we go to a different track. But please, just move the title race out of Phoenix. Hopefully that will, it won't fix the public opinion on people, because Phoenix, it's a pretty, I'm not even gonna deny it. Phoenix is a pretty dull track. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but NASCAR fans in general, if it's not an exciting, NASCAR fans nowadays, especially after the races that we've had to start the season, with the 3-wide photo finish at Las Vegas and the awesome racing that we saw at the Daytona 500 before, the final 10 laps happened. NASCAR fans have been pretty spoiled to, start the season, so I can see why they would be so upset at this race playing out the way it did. But I'm here to tell you, I'm here to remind you, some races are gonna be like this. It's not the end of the world. This short track package, I feel like, there's still some work to be done, but it was a step forward from last year, in my opinion. Again, a bit too early to tell, yes, but to each their own, I guess. There was a lot of action under green, I'm gonna say this. It's just, again, the broadcast, Fox, they just don't do a very good job covering the action, but there was a lot of action under green. Not just on restarts, but also like on the long run. Which is why I say, this package, give this short track package a chance. Don't give up on it just yet. Obviously, most of the interesting stuff happened in Stage 3 after all of the strategy calls caused the running order to flip and the fuel mileage becoming a bit of a factor for some of the leaders. But yeah, like I said, no. But yeah, like I said, my gosh, this construction work is just so distracting for me. But yeah, like I said, Phoenix was just a decent race. Not bad race, but decent. I mean, for Phoenix standards, it was alright. For, general, overall, for how the 2024 season has gone, it was just eh. Also, another thing I would like to point out, there weren't that many notable pit road penalties either, now that I realized. Which was honestly a bit surprising, because Phoenix is known to have a bit of a tricky pit road. The only notable, again, like I said, the only notable speeding penalty that I saw that Fox actually covered was like Harrison Burton speeding. Although, again, knowing Fox, they probably missed a couple of those speeding penalties, so I wouldn't be surprised. As for the driver of the race, or driver of the day, whatever you want to call it, it's got to be one of the Toyotas. Obviously, I would like to give it to the Toyota drivers as a whole, because they just dominated the race from start to finish. Just from start to finish, they dominated the race. If some cautions came out at the right time, I have no doubt in my mind that Toyota would have just come out of it with leading 100% of the race between all of their drivers. But um, if I had to pick one guy, it would be Christopher Bell, because he had the best car down the stretch. Also, him shaking up a slow start to the year. Also, the fact that I have like expectations. This win also reaffirms the expectations that I have for Christopher Bell this season. It was just a great race for him, great bounce back race for him, and it also gives him momentum for him to win at Bristol. And like I said, Bell is my pick to win at Bristol this weekend. So for tomorrow's race actually, because I'm recording this on Saturday morning. But yeah, Christopher Bell, he has great momentum now. And especially with these short tracks coming up, Bristol, Richmond, and Martinsville. I know Martinsville is like, but he actually won at Martinsville in the playoff race at Martinsville in 22. So, Bell is pretty good on short tracks, or like on short track tracks that use the short track package, like New Hampshire, also Gateway. I guess it falls into that category. If Christopher Bell shows up with the speed that he had at the Bristol night race last year, when he started from the pole and led the most laps, the rest of the field, they better watch out. Because I'm pretty sure Bristol is like the best track for Christopher Bell that he has not won at. Like, he has led a ton of laps between both of the Bristol night races in 22 and 2023, but he hasn't won them. For X or Y reason, maybe the pit crew, maybe, in the case of the 2022 night race, he got a flat tire while leading. But yeah, I'm pretty confident now in how Bell's season is gonna play out. Again, I'm just milking this Bell Championship agenda. I'm gonna be milking it for quite a while. This Christopher Bell, I'm pushing an agenda here. This is the Christopher Bell Championship agenda. I have Bell as my champion. Just saying. So, yeah. This weekend we're going to Bristol, as you guys may know already. Hopefully it doesn't rain. And, they're not running the short track package because of the high banks. They're running more of that intermediate package. Bristol has been dull, even with the intermediate package. In the Gen 7 car, but hopefully having the spring race back on concrete, hopefully it changes something. It brings something for a change, because the Bristol dirt was not bad, but like I said, the thing about Bristol dirt is you're taking one of Bristol's dates to put dirt over it, when you could just go to an actual dirt track. Like, it would be better off if we just had 2 Bristol races on concrete plus another dirt track, NASCAR going to another dirt track. Like, I like the concept of Bristol dirt, and NASCAR, especially for the last 2 years that they were on dirt, they made it pretty evident that NASCAR, this Gen 7 car, could actually work on dirt, because the 2022 race, the 2023 race, those 2 races were pretty damn good. They were pretty damn good, but it also left me with the impression that, damn, if they're doing this on a temporary dirt track, imagine what the next gen cars or the Gen 7 cars they could do on an actual dirt track. Which is why I really want NASCAR. If NASCAR really does go back to dirt, I really hope it's on a real dirt track, and they don't have to cover the track, another track in dirt like they did with Bristol. Just go to an actual purpose-built dirt track. But yeah, I guess that's all for my part for today. It's almost noon. The truck race is tonight. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to watch it, because I may or may not be going out with some friends tonight, but I don't know. I'll keep you guys updated on Twitter anyways. And again, I apologize for the delay, and I also apologize for recording this video while there is some construction work going on in my house. I hate myself for waiting too long to record this video, but again, like I said, I was just dealing with it was just a really tough week for me with work and and you know, some other personal matters that I've been dealing with. But yeah, that's it. And yeah, peace out, guys.